Okay, I believe we are live. Make sure I have the sound against the first event, so make sure I hear myself. Okay, we're good. All right. So today we are going to be rating some more cards, starting with this one. I'm only going to do this one until about 8:15. And then we'll be doing an Among Us game later after that. Okay, so just to remind you guys how I'm doing this, I will be looking at the card and getting its realistic views, and then we'll rate the card on a scale of 1 to 10, 1 being it doesn't work whatsoever, and 10 being it's perfect card. There's nothing else can be given about it. Most of these cards will probably be rated probably somewhere 7, 8, or 9. Okay. And they also look at the rarity, so if it should be in common, uncommon, rare, mythic. All right, Biscuit Bandit. Flying, as long as the opponent has a food or drink with arms reach. Arms reach. Nope, we skipped this card. That card doesn't make any sense. It's definitely not going to be valid for the cards. So sorry. I think what this person is trying to do is make it some funny thing. That's why it's actually. Oh, that's why there's an unstable rim around it. So cards with this rim around it that has a silver-looking sort of thing, those are unstable cards, which means they would not be valid. This might actually just technically be a card. Can't rate this one, unfortunately, so we'll go on the next one. You and Me. Skip it because it's not really a card. Pickle Got. According to this, play this card only if it was transformed from Super Ultra Pickle. It has Trample, Haste, Vigilance. You spell Vigilance wrong. Hexproof, Indestructible, Death Touch, and Flying. Yay. Wow. And today, if your name starts another one of these cards, it doesn't work. Hold on, let me go to a Star Run Home. These cards don't make any sense. So hopefully I'll probably end up cutting that part out. Let's see. We want a random card. Here we go. Your Embodied Masterpiece. It has hexproof as long as you control an artist. Interesting. It's interesting concept. There's 2 problems with this card. You might have seen it immediately. It has no mana cost, which means you can't technically play this card. You can't play it, so it's not valid. That immediately knocks it 2 for me. Although it has hexproof as long as you control an artist. I mean, this is probably just a creature type that they made, and I'm not worrying about cards like that. I would say on a scale of 1 to 10, probably looking at 6, just because it doesn't have a valid, and it's not necessarily, it doesn't have a valid role. But it's still, I mean, it'll be a decent card, and it's still technically possible to play if they actually put those features in. White Wolf Wolfus, White Wolfus. Whenever White Wolfus becomes a target of spell, tap target creature. That creature doesn't untap during its turn. Interesting. This is a very interesting card. To be honest, I'm 3/3 creature doesn't call it. I think it might be a little expensive, but I think it's honestly reasonable. Kids, I think I've seen it with its ability that it. I could see it being a common or uncommon, so those are both pretty valid. I think this is 1 to 10. 9 out of 10. I think it could be just a little bit cheaper, but that's not. I think honestly it's a decent, very, very good card. Good job, Butterpet. Or something inspiration. Counter target spell. If it's the first spell you cast this turn, its controller draws a card. If you control an artist, I can remember what this does for artist. But it does have mana cost. It's good. That's a good thing. Now, counter target spell. If it is first spell you cast this turn, its controller draws a card. Okay, your second spell for sure. I can see this being a valid card. It's a reasonable. It does have mana cost. It does have. On a scale of 1 to 10, definitely a common. It's a transformation at some point. I think 9 is reasonable because it does help your opponent if you do play this, and it's not like you're counting yourself. I think about this card. It's a really decent card for it though. Next card. Watchers of the Iron Forest. Zachary Feek. Generally, I think Austin might be normally a very good card. Very good label for it. Whenever this card blocks, search your land and then put it onto the battlefield, tap and shove your library. Wow. That's awesome. That's awesome. 10 out of 10. I can't say anything wrong. It's actually, might want to put a different symbol, but that's really good. It's a really good card. Draw a card for each color of mana used to cast this spell. So it would be better in a multicolored deck. Gotcha. And then discard X cards. Okay, so basically you draw X card, you draw cards and they lose out of it. So I mean, it's a decent card for percentage. If 3 more cards were spent on the spell, you return up to 1 target instant or sorcery from your graveyard to your hand. I totally agree with this card. 10 out of 10. It's decent. It's a decent event, and I see it's realistically being put into the game. They might end up changing the mana cost a little bit, but yeah, I think honestly this is a fair spell. Soul Manipulations. Can't pronounce that. Planet Horror. If a creature would die and has less than 4 charge counters, put a charge counter on it instead. So basically, it saves your creatures 4 times before it kills them. Wow. This creature gets the cost bonus 1 for each charge count on it. You can sacrifice another creature, remove charge counter from that creature, and counter instead. Wow. Definitely mythic. Definitely right for it. Definitely, I think it's the right type. I'm a little confused on what that means. I think it might be. It might not be a card that they would actually ever put in the game, just because it's on looks of it's 4 or less. If creature would die with less or 4 charge counters, it's basically 3. You're going to revive a creature 3 times. It's a little bit off, I think, honestly. I would say less than 2, maybe less than 1 charge counter. If it has a charge counter, you don't do it. But if it doesn't, do. Oh, I misread the card. If this creature would die with less than 4 charge counters on it, put a charge counter on it instead. So it's protecting itself. It's just itself. That completely changes it. That's easily a 9 out of 10. The one thing I would say is its last ability probably needs to be a little more expensive. So I'd say 9 out of 10 for this. It's a very good card. It becomes really powerful after you have 4 charge counters. Never mind. I think it's a very decent card. Okay, next one. Oh, I should point out. When I did the stream yesterday, I did look at some of the cards. I'm not gonna look at cards this stream. I don't know if I'll do this one again. If I do it, it'll be next Sunday or Saturday. I don't know what it's gonna be. Yeah, Planeswalker. Lum. Legendary Planeswalker, Lum. Draw a card for each. Draw a card from put a card from your hand on top of your library. Interesting. So if you don't want the card, that's an interesting +1. Pay 0. Target creature that opponent controls. Choose target creature. Your opponent, that player, may have you draw 2 cards, or they can return to their hand. Again, another really good ability. Honestly, this is a really good card. Emblem. Okay, so actually, it's worded a little bit wrong, but it's decent. So you gain an emblem that says, whenever you draw a card, you may instead scry X to draw X cards, where X is the number of cards that you have drawn. I don't know what that is. I can see it being rare, honestly. Most of the time when Planeswalkers come in the field or artists, they're generally mythic. But honestly, I see this one being rare. I'm gonna go and favorite this one. I think it's pretty cool. I think it's a perfectly reasonable card, and yes, I think the emblem might be a little bit off because you could gain more emblems over time. So it's not. It's a great card. 10 out of 10 on this card for sure. Might be mythic. I would say anyway. It's least in based. It's at least a rare. What? Something agent is paying attention to their cards colors. 3 things wrong with this. Already I can see. Pink is not a color in Magic. It's not one. This is clearly the image is clearly photoshopped in some way. That background is purple for me, not black, pink. I'm sorry. To me, this is. I think it's still technically could be realistically a card. But I think four out of 10 for me in this one because it doesn't catch the way it. Yeah, it just doesn't look right for me. Although I think this card could technically put into the game, they have to put the other card in there. That's not really something I want to have in a deck. Oh, Planeswalker, I think. Cochrane? Cock chicken? Oh, it's a kitty cat. Yeah. Or is that a hamster? I can't tell. I think it's a cat. One, counter the first spell that would be cast this turn. Interesting. That would be interesting. The only thing is that that means you would counter. You would only do most of the time. Planeswalkers can only happen during your turn. 0 becomes a 5/5 cat avatar creature, and with tap, deal 4 damage to any target. It's missing a 1 little element in that one. Then -6, each creature can attack or block. Can't attack or block except for cat avatar. So the problem here is the 0 ability should say until end of turn. That's the only thing I'm thinking about. And there's a possibility that the first ability should say can cast a spell at any time. If you saw some of my cards that I made in the last stream, then yes, it would be like that. And the last ability just doesn't make any sense. Each creature can't attack or block except cat and avatar. Don't know if that's a card. It doesn't. I mean, it's now in this context, it would probably still be mythic if you added those things, but it's too expensive. On a scale of 1 to 10, I have to give it a 6. It has a decent abilities if you edit those a few things. But otherwise, it has some potential to be a good card. Bid target creature takes a target opponent. Take a random creature from their graveyard and add it to your graveyard. This card probably wouldn't ever be put into the game, but honestly, that would be interesting. You can only get cards from your graveyard. You can't get stuff from your opponent's graveyard. So that's an interesting context. Common. Yeah, I think it's realistic. Realistically, I think it's the right mana cost. It might end up being an uncommon if they ever put this card into the game. But honestly, common is not too far off. On a scale of 1 to 10, 9 out of 10. Probably because it could tank the uncommon card. Clock Tower. It's got a little bit of an error here, but it's not too bad. You pay 3. You pay 1 to tap it to put a future counter on it. You get paid 2 islands and remove the X future counters from and that many cards. Okay. Now, if I were to make this card, I would probably make an uncommon. But here's the thing. If Wizards did it, they would make it a rare. Or even a mythic, possibly. So honestly, I think this is a realistic card, and I'm gonna give it a 10 out of 10. Yes. If that was fixed and put down here, it would be 100%. It's a little bit off. It's like 9.5 out of 10. It's a very high card. Good job with this card. Crocran Sea Troll. First strike, protection from red, and you can pay 2 to regenerate it. If you would draw a card, you may draw a card from the bottom of the card instead. Okay, well, Mythic? No. First strike, protection from red, and regenerate it. Those are all good abilities. And whenever you can do it, you can draw from the bottom of your deck. But you have to know what's in the bottom of your deck. So that doesn't quite work for Mythic for me. I would say rare for this one. But honestly, it could potentially be a Mythic. It could potentially. That is, if you happen to know what the bottom of the card is. So there might be something that comes next that says, okay, if you can look at the top, you can look at the top bottom card of your deck instead, or look at your deck anytime. Regenerate just means that you can pay 2. If it does die, then you can bring it back to the field. Tapped, I think, might be untapped. But okay, it's a realistic card, probably rare. Hot Blood Raider. Breakout. If you cast this card for its breakout cost, and you do draw it. Oh wait. See, when you draw it, if it's the first card you drew this turn, if you do gain, it gains haste. You just act as Phoenix. Okay, that's perfectly realistic. I had to read what Breakout did. I don't know if Breakout's an ability or not. It might have been an ability way back when Magic started coming out. But honestly, it's not bad. Whenever it dies, you creature, artifact or basic land. Realistically, uncommon probably would be at this time. So yeah, I think that's realistic. Oh, we got another planeswalker here. Oh, that's beautiful. That's a beautiful looking planeswalker. Ikra Deliverance Herald. Might be too powerful, honestly. +3, distribute 3 when encounters among 1 or 2 or 3 creatures you control. +4, target creature gets +3/+3 and gains flying until end. -5. Return to the battlefield all permanent cards in your graveyard that were put there from the battlefield this turn. I think its loyalty counters are a little bit insane, to be honest. But I mean, it could be potentially possible. If I were to, the only one thing I'm going to say it's about 8 out of 10 out of this, because I think if you lowered it down by 2 points for each one of them, you get +2 and +1. You flip those things around. Yeah, I think it's realistic. I think it's a realistic card. Maybe slightly less lower challenge, but 8 out of 10 of this thing, and it's honestly a really good card. To be precise, it's a decent card. One card from 2018, so. We've got Fletcher's Surplus. Sorry about that. doing all. Distribute 2 arrow counters from among the permanents you control. You gotta explain what arrow counters are if you're gonna do that for this for a card. So yeah, draw a card. I mean, right now it looks like it just says draw a card, which doesn't mean it's impossible. That's a negative, not a negative at all. It might be common, but if you do what arrow counters did, is there any comments about this card? There is not. Okay. Then if I knew what arrow counters did, I could give you a perfect rating. Maybe. So right now it's probably 7 out of 10 because it does get you a draw card. If I knew what arrows counters did, then I could actually maybe give it a higher rating. It's a decent card though, I think. Maybe. We've got, I don't know how to pronounce that, Undolphed General. If a spell or ability you cause would cause you to sacrifice a permanent, you may put it on top of your library instead of putting it anywhere else. Ooh, yikes. Wow. At first, ability is insane, honestly. That just throws into mythic territory immediately. The second ability, if this target creature gets +1/+0 and gets trampled into a turn, you can sacrifice at the beginning of the end steps. Its second ability is not as strong as I would like it to be, but mythic would be correct. That second ability is probably an in-game ability, not a early game ability. Definitely favorite that. That's a really good card. I don't think sacrifice at the beginning of the next end step makes much sense, but it is. So that's why I'm giving it a 9 out of 10. If you took that one line out, then it would be probably a 10 out of 10. Finest Maxims. Scales of Sin. Ugh, sounds like a devil's card. When Scales of Sin enters the battlefield, every player gets an emblem. Whenever you cast a spell or activate an ability that results in a permanent, spell permanent wrong, being put to the graveyard. I think it's spelled wrong, maybe it's not. From play, put a sin counter on this emblem. And then you can tap it. Every player gets damage equal to the number of sin counters on the emblem he or she controls. Control spell wrong. Well, rare. That's realistic. I think that's what realistic is. I really like the fact that it deals damage to both players. This would be really good for a deck that you have if you are deciding to target your opponent with everything you got. That would be huge, honestly. I'm going to give this a 10 out of 10. Well, I might actually give this a 9.5 out of 10 just because the controls is spelled wrong. I think permanent spelled wrong. But otherwise, it's a decent card. I would say it's close to 10 out of 10 if it's not 10 out of 10. Just for people that just joined me, this will be going till 8:15, and then it'll be another stream at 8:30, I believe. That will be for Among Us. Scrooge Stone. Each player cannot cast more than one spell each turn. Wow. We're limiting you to only playing one instant, one sorcery, one planeswalker, one of everything you've got. Actually, lands don't count as spells. You can do that many times. And creatures out of the battlefield get -1/-1. It's an interesting gun. I'm gonna say on this one, 9 out of 10. And the only thing is I'm saying 9 out of 10 because it looks kind of like its ability might not be super effective. I think honestly it could potentially be both either mythic or rare. Okay, we got Vivian Sarah, which seems like a card that's already happened in the game, but maybe it's not. Flying and vigilance, protection from instants and sorceries. Okay, that's hexproof. That's just what it is. Hexproof. That's basically what it would be. It's just the same thing. It's saying that really cool card, 3/2, probably the right cost too. On card, that's realistic. I think all that's realistic. 10 out of 10 for that card. It's realistic. Okay, what happened here? I can't read this card, so I'm skipping it. I'm not going to read it because it has double strike flying and air strike, but I have no clue what the rest of it says. So, I could read it. Well, I can't. So then it's double strike flying and indestructible. Every turn, creature a 3/3 dragon creature with flying. You can't have more than 4 of these dragons on the battlefield. If you have 3 dragons on the battlefield, then this creature then has hexproof for the rest of the game. Okay, so that's something that's crazy. And if it has hexproof, it gets +3 per seal. Definitely would be a mythic in it, but it's just way too powerful for the game. I'm gonna say on a scale of 1 to 10, this is probably a 9, just because of the fact that it becomes way too powerful. Realistically, this could be put into the game, but this one ability right here, when I'm highlighting, that doesn't happen. If that doesn't happen, then it's realistic. And also, if it was also lower down, so it wasn't. I'm shouting this at you. We're gonna play Planeswalker. Bottom of that. Oh, something the Evercrowd. Put a -1/-1 on up to 3 target creatures. Yikes! That is insane. -3 target creature gets as X -X with number of units you control. A demon just seems to be one of the least common. I can't think. One of the least common creature type that I can think of. Okay, so entice. When this creature deal enough combat damage to destroy another creature, you may gain control of that creature instead. Whoa! I think what they probably meant to put in was an emblem that said when you do enough damage. That's combat damage. So basically, you have to block. It's not going to be spells. But honestly, that mythic absolutely makes sense. The only thing thing I don't really like on this card is how much it costs to play it on the field for what build is. It's probably a 9 out of 10. Decent card. Vivian Renew or Varkian Renew, that's a completely different sport. It has breakout, you can pay 5 to exile it and to put it on the field. My question is, why would anyone want to do that? I'm gonna pay 5 when I can play 4 to keep it on the field and actually exile the next step. Doesn't seem like it. Whenever it's battlefield, if it's breakout, here's the second reason why. Whenever there's battlefield, if its breakout cost is paid, you may return target creature from your graveyard to the battlefield. Okay. Still don't know why you want to do that, honestly, because there are other ways to return other stuff. So there's two ways to do that. I would say on a scale of 1 to 10, this is probably an 8.5 out of 10. I don't think most people I do not think would ever cast it for the breakout cards. I may be completely wrong about that though, so it'd be interesting. Okay. Arc Vivian's head. That is actually on a card. It's called Vivian Reed. That's exactly that card. I'm very aware what some cards are. It's one of my favorite planeswalkers in the M19 set. Whenever a creature enters the battlefield, you may pay 1 and 1 forest. If you do, create a copy of that creature against haste, exile and Vixen. And then creatures you control get a trample until end of turn. That's realistic, honestly. I think realistically, I think Mythic makes much sense because of the build second ability. And you can basically, yes, there are better cards, which is why I'm going to give it a 9 out of 10. There are better cards that do exactly the same thing that are slightly cheaper, actually, or can be slightly cheaper. There's one card from this last set. I can't remember what it's called, but it does exactly that. It does exactly that, and it can cost only a swamp and a forest. But to be honest, it's a very decent card. I would give it a 9 out of 10 on this. Something champion. It can't be countered. Challenger 3. Whenever it enters the battlefield, it fights target creature opponent controls. If the creature survives, it regenerates and repeats the process up to 3 times. Oh, this creature survives. Regenerate and repeat the process 3 times. Okay. That's insane. Definitely mythic. Basically, what I'm thinking and understanding this card is that if it doesn't die, you regenerate it, you do it again, it just basically continues doing damage to it until 3 more times. Reasonable. It's a little bit weird to cost him, but to be honest, that's a 10 out of 10 for me. I think it's a very realistic card, and cards though I think this is probably more likely to be a non-legendary creature. 10 out of 10 for this, though. I don't know whether Wizards would put this as a legendary creature. Next card. We're going to be doing about 4 more of these cards, I think, and then we'll be ending the stream for this one, and we'll be doing Among Us afterwards at 8:30, I believe. First thing, Bloodsucker. It has lifelink Berserk, which is the actual ability. It casts for berserk cost. If you do, it gains haste and you sacrifice the advantage combat. Realistic card. If beginning of your instant, if an opponent lost 5 or more life this turn, return to from your graveyard from the player's graveyard and put it into your hand. Realistically, yes. I think I think it makes sense. I think we'll go 3 more cards and then we'll go ahead and go to end this stream. Pig Jockey is a human ally creature. You tap it and it gets +2 and target pig creature gets +2/+2. So that's not itself. That would make any sense. And then whenever Pig Jockey dies, you create a 3/3 white pig creature token with trample. Yeah, that's realistic. It's a little expensive from what I would probably want. I would say maybe 1 less. So 9 out of 10 for this card. It's a decent card though. When I do this next stream for this set, I will be looking at some other cards I have made that will be based off of planeswalkers. I think it might not be something else. I'll have to think about it. And just for the person that just joined, I'm going to stream about 3 minutes, and then go to doing another stream, which will be Among Us stream. Headstrong Brawler. It has trample, and you can play it. It pays berserk cost to exile it at the end. So yeah, decent card. 9 out of 10, I think. A little bit weird to have a 5/3 common creature, but maybe it's different. I don't know for sure about that. So 9 out of 10. I think we'll go 2 more cards, and then we're going to end the stream for this one, and then we'll go to Among Us, which will be at 8. Rip for the Slaughter. Tap X creatures you controls until this card leaves the battlefield. Oh, we're going to tap them until the end of the turn, until this card leaves the battlefield. That's interesting. It's expensive, but honestly, I think that's realistic. I don't know if that's a common or uncommon symbol, but to be honest, that's realistic, I think. I'm gonna say on a scale of 1 to 10, though it probably ended up being 7. It's a little bit too powerful. 8, not 10, 7. Okay. We're going to be the last card, and then we'll go ahead and look at this. That's not cards. We can't look at that one. That's a Drake. I did. And this should be the last card, and then we'll go ahead and end this stream. That's another Drake. Can't do that one. Wolf. It's a 2/2 token. Talking creature. Well, okay. It doesn't have a mana cost, so it's probably intended to be a token, so we'll move on to that one. Okay. And actually, this last card, I can't pronounce anything, Frontliner, you can pay 1 extra to make eggs to exile it. And if it enters battlefield or dies, you deal 1 damage to a target and then gain 1 life. Interesting card. And to be realistic, that's not a bad card to put into play. On a scale of 1 to 10, I'd probably make it 9 out of 10. just because considering I think it might actually be that damage might that section be a little bit too strong for it. All right, so thank you for the one person that is watching the stream. I'm going to be doing Among Us so for people that just joined the stream, I'm going to be doing an Among Us at about 8:30, maybe a little bit 8:30. So thank you guys for watching. I will see you guys in the next video.